Ships are safe at harbor, but that is not what they're designed for. And so as you go into your week this week, remember that you were created and designed for so much more than you're giving yourself credit for. Now, I want to shy away a little bit from any kind of religious aspect or anything like that, but understand that I do believe that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And regardless of what your thoughts and opinions are, the fact of the matter is that you are an incredible person with a lot of incredible talent. And you've got to move away from the harbor. Like, if you are an artist and you can draw and you are just so worried and fearful about putting your art out there, I encourage you today's the day to start that Instagram account. Today is the day to share your art with the world. If you are a photographer, if you're a model, heck, right now I'm in the middle of writing my own screenplay to direct my own movie. And I gotta tell you, like, for me, that is as far out from my comfort level as I could possibly be. But we are designed to do a lot more than what we obviously give ourselves credit for. So as you go into your Monday today, take care of the day-to-day. We all have jobs. We all do things that require our attention, that maybe take away from our passion and our love for whatever it is we're wanting to ultimately do. But just know that if you find yourself in a mundane job that isn't bringing you peace or happiness, that's not what you were built for. Sometimes it takes a little bit of bravery and courage to realize that. So this is by no means telling you to go into your boss's office and quit your job today without any kind of safety net, but this is my way of telling you to start taking baby steps. Start drifting out to sea a little bit, and eventually I think you'll surprise yourself by just how much you're actually capable of doing. Just remember, it's always about progress over complacency. All right, welcome to the Monday edition of the Batmandrew Podcast. And I've been trekking my way from 2019 through 2024, just kind of talking about my personal journey, my life, what happened, why am I leading up to doing the podcast, and here we are in 2022. And this will kind of forever go down as one of the toughest years of my life. And so the major thing that kind of happened to me, my mom passed away in 2022, and I don't do well opening up and sharing emotions. I mean, that's in large part one of the reasons why I'm forcing myself to do this podcast, is so that I can be a little bit more open and honest and transparent about, like, my feelings and hardships and mental health and all that kind of stuff. But losing my mom was huge. So instead of necessarily going through all the struggles and all the mental breakdowns that I had of 2022, I want to take a couple moments to celebrate my mom and to kind of talk about her for a second. So my mom, her real name was Euphrasia Mills. It's a Hispanic name. I don't know where they got it from. They called her Pat. And my mom, I was born pretty late in life for my mom. She was 39 years old when I was born. And my two older brothers were 11 and 15 years older than I was. And so I was definitely the baby of the family. And, growing up, my dad, he was an alcoholic. And when he wasn't drinking, I'm sure he was a fine dad. He passed away when I was a kid, so I don't remember a whole lot. But I do remember a lot of things about my mom. The number one thing was her work ethic. I like to pride myself on being the hardest working person in the room, and that came from her. It came from her really instilling in me a sense of work ethic and responsibility. And so, I talked about in 2024, it's the most expensive year of my life. I kind of mentioned that before. And I think I even mentioned that the accumulation of expenses that we had that year were more than my mom made in a single year when she was working. And listen, I grew up in a super rough part of town. We grew up with very little. Not going to go into a whole like woe is me. We just didn't have anything. And the only reason why I am out of that situation now is because of the hard work that I've put in to make sure that I don't live in the ghetto anymore, to make sure that I'm more financially responsible than my family before me and things like that. But that's only because my mom put in the hard work to make sure that we stayed above water long enough for me to be able to swim to shore, if you will. And so she had her fair share of mental health issues, and she had shared some things like abuse as a kid and things like that kind of went into it. But, she did the absolute best she could with the hands she was dealt. And I just really miss my mom. And so losing her in 2022, I was fresh with Rally House. I'd been there about 7 months, and then when my mom passed away. And I didn't tell anybody. When it comes to processing grief, I'm more of a let me bury my head and bury my head into work. And that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't take any bereavement. There was only one person at Rally House that I had told about my mom. And, if I could go back, I would not have told them. Because it kind of sparked a friendship that was very one-sided, and that I wasted, a lot of time invested in. And, if I could go back, I'd probably just keep my shit to myself. Because I feel like I process better that way. But being unable to really talk about my emotions while still trying to provide for the family, succeed at work and stuff like that, I was going through a lot of struggles mentally that I just didn't tell anybody, not even my wife. And I went at it alone, and it was tough. It was really, really tough. And so professionally, I was able to help open 2 more stores in the Oklahoma market, which was really cool to see the concept grow. Hired more people, brought in some amazing, talented managers to be a part of the team, and that part was awesome. And then, home-wise, my family, our little boy turned 2. We got to take our first family vacation in 2022. We road tripped to Salem, Massachusetts, and it was a lot of fun. With the exception of road tripping, 2,000 miles cross country with a, 1 and 9 month year old. But Grayson did really good on the trip. It was really fun for him it's really exciting to see him kind of just explore and experience new things with us. The highlight of the trip, if he was to ever remember it, would have been him going to the downtown Disney store in downtown New York City. He lost his shit in there. There was so much Mickey Mouse. He, obviously he couldn't really talk the best at that point. But you could see his personality starting to come out, and the way that he, just experienced that trip. And it was just really exciting to see. It was really fun. I never went on family vacations growing up. And so being able to be with my wife and her family and experiencing something just really cool and unique, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I will tell you, that was when I really started to realize that maybe like I wasn't in the best situation in my life in general with work and home and everything towards the end of that year, because I remember the first holiday. So my mom passed away in January, so it'd been almost a year by the time we got to Thanksgiving and Christmas. And Grayson's birthday is a week before Christmas, so it's a lot of family activities and festivities there, kind of in that short time frame. Thankfully, I wasn't traveling this holiday season like I had the year prior, because the year prior, like I said, I was gone for everything, and so this year we got to celebrate Grayson's second birthday. He picked out his starter Pokemon because we're all a bunch of nerds. He picked out Squirtle, and everyone that was there at the party cheered him on and freaked him out. He panicked and he threw the Squirtle doll down like a Rob Gronkowski spike and then ran to his mom, which was pretty funny. But when I look back at 2022, everything seemed like a blur after my mom had passed away. And the struggles that I had faced with my mental health, growing up, like, we didn't talk about that shit. Like, my dad, when I was a kid, he certainly wasn't going to talk about that kind of stuff. And I just grew up in an environment where you just kept your feelings to yourself. And one of the things I struggle with the most is the fact that even now, I don't feel like I'm allotted to have a bad day. So if I'm not feeling well, if I'm mentally exhausted, or I feel like I need a break, or like there's just so much riding on me to provide, to be there to support. And like I said, I'm the kind of guy, like, I pour everything I have into the people that I care about, and I don't require much of people pouring into me. But I was drained, and I felt alone, and I felt just exhausted. And the amount of times, those intrusive thoughts came through my mind that year was just unreal. And, honestly, look, I if it hadn't been for Scarlett and Grayson, I don't know really what I would have done. So I am thankful for them. But 2022 sucked. And so, I'm leading into 2025. I'm just bound and determined to get over those obstacles, to be better. I don't do things like therapy. I can't tell you why. I mean, a large part of it was probably because of the financial burden that it takes, but also it's just the way I was raised. And I know that's no excuse, but I spent the next year, 2023, just battling. And look, now am I in the best of places? Like, am I completely fixed of all my internal demons? Like, absolutely not. But hell, I'm so much better than I was then. And so I think that the lesson I learned is that, one, there were a lot of people that were around me. I wasn't alone. I may have felt alone, but there were people around me that loved me and cared about me. The problem was I just didn't let them in. I didn't open up. I didn't talk about what was going on. So that was on me, and it's something that I'm still struggling to work with, but I am working on it. And then the second thing that I learned in 2022 was that, and I know it's cliche, and you hear it all the time, but until it really grabs a hold of you, you don't get it. Like, it's okay to not be okay. And like I said, I still struggle with the fact that I feel like I'm not able to have a bad day. But I just got to know that that's on me. And there are people around me who love me and care about me who will help support me when I have those bad days. I think that it's just important to communicate those. So, it's just 2022 really sucked. And I probably overcompensated with work. I did do a lot of traveling when I was home for the holidays. I did a lot of traveling. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the year that I went to Cincinnati. I went to Cleveland a couple of times for work. I think I went to Philly a couple more times. I spent a lot of time on the road that year just because I felt more comfortable alone than I did around anyone. And it's hard when you got to process those feelings, right? Because here on one note, I'm telling you, I'd rather process things by myself and be alone. But on the other hand, I was suffering and wanted help. And so I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know if you're listening to this, I don't know what issues you're facing or what you're going through. And look, my stuff may be super minor, but that friend that I told you about, I remember them telling me, the one that I told my mom about, I remember in a small, brief window of me opening up about my hardship, they used the line I'll never forget where they said, what are you complaining about? I wish I had your problems. And I just never talked to anyone again. And so, not until, I finally was able to open up to my family, to my wife, let her know how I was feeling. And, the reason why I hadn't before was because I was just so concerned about not being the strong provider that she needed. And I think through the course of me realizing that I was vulnerable and that I wasn't just Superman all the time, it was kind of through those tough times that I realized how strong Scarlett was. And, because she probably wouldn't admit it, but there were so many times where I probably pawned off my parental duties just to, taking unnecessary trips and travels and, doing photo shoots just to not have to be responsible. And I'm just never going to do that again. So, obviously I'm getting a little bit emotional for this video. I knew I was going to. I grew up in an environment where, I'd definitely be described as a little bitch right now for going through my emotions, but I just don't want that kind of toxic environment for my kid. And so if that means that I've got to learn to process my shit, and I think doing this podcast will help that to make his life better, then that's what I'm gonna do. So fuck 2022. 2023 was better, and so can't wait to get on with this and talk about 2023. So thank you guys for listening. I don't know, again, if there's 1 of you, 10 of you, or 100 of you, I don't know how many people are going to see this video, but it made me feel better for doing it. Thank you guys.